see if this is better lighting for you guys first. Alright. What up, random rockers, Movillians, and SCHMOEDOWN fans? Back to SCHMOEDOWN Rocks. And, number 5, I think this is. I'm probably put in the title card. I'm probably losing count of it, and eventually over time I'm definitely going to. Can't say blame me. Lighting's probably not as good. Yes, I'm tired. By the time I record this, it's pretty late, and I have people. I do not live alone, so people are upstairs, so yeah, so I'm being a little quiet, and I'm not be able to, this time I will not be able to do the loud voice I like to normally, or bombastic voice I like to do, or at least emulating Christian in that regard, so don't expect that for this one either, as well, especially after last episode. And now let's get into this week's matchups for the Anarchy. And round 1, and I believe this is also will include the Patreon match from previous week, or at least the one you got to see earlier for Patreon, and put as an undercard. Though I don't even know if I would call that an undercard, really. Holding in a yawn, sorry. And before we get to that, earlier this week we had a matchup that was not initially the matchup we were supposed to get. So that's not going to be happening until this coming Tuesday. And so the matchup instead of which was supposed to be WILDBERRIES versus Evil Geniuses, instead we have, which is going to be this coming Tuesday, yes. Instead we have, I believe it was Cinemaniacs versus the team of Cinemaniacs consisting of William the Beast Babiani and Mighty Matt Nost. Our current singles champ and a former team champ together for this one, with the current tag team belt holder's own manager, Emma Fife, running the show for this thing, and them versing Franchise Force, Jay Washington's only group that was left since, well, the War Machine unfortunately failed, and which bums me out because I really liked Janine. And this one was supposed to be because Jay wanted to still manage Ethan alongside Sabina Graves. Oh, I couldn't hold in that yawn. And it's late, sorry. And I had certain scheduling conflicts. Random and raw as usual again. So, yeah, and the matchup was pretty darn good. I did enjoy it, and I do enjoy both teams. Wouldn't mind seeing those teams again. Again, post this, even though, according to Sabina Graves, that's not the case. And clearly Jay Washington wasn't happy about it, but he was a little more cool and collective. He wasn't losing his shit like he did with the whole War Machine issue. And which is still kind of a shame for that both, once again, Jay Washington not having much luck. Definitely doesn't help that it had to be a loss once again against Emma Fife. So, and Fife really didn't have much control over that team. They weren't really on the same page except when they were in that match, and it's because of that they are a deadly combination. In the same sense as what happened with the Andreyko the odd couple pairing of Draco and Jeff Snyder, though that one I don't think a lot of people didn't have confidence in that working out at all, especially given those two guys' past history. And this one, I'm not bored of the matches. Just don't think that at all. Those matches were because there was no boring match this week. I'm going to say that right now. And when it came to theatrical stuff, they were basically they're not on the same page when it comes to everything else, but when it comes down to showing up and playing, it seems that Maniacs are going to be an unstoppable force, or at least one of the unstoppable forces. As far as I'm concerned, even after everything that's happened thus far, there hasn't, until the Evil Genius WildBerries thing, I don't think there has been an actual proper upset, because I think a lot of the teams going forward from round one were actually the teams a lot of people were expecting, even though I would have liked, even though the whole Paddington 2 thing, whatever. No, expect the audio. I'm going to call this the yawn episode. But just because. I'm yawning too much right now. But yes. I really enjoyed that one from Tuesday's matchup. But it was the supposed undercard and the follow-up on Friday that actually wound up being the even better matches, or at least a little bit more close-knit matches, though the undercard probably being, I guess I wouldn't even say underwhelming necessarily at all, because I think a lot of people were hoping and expecting Corruption to basically mow them down, but that wasn't the case, and Inky and the Brain actually put up a fight for them. Even though it was really more of the fact that, this was we needed to see how Team Corruption was going to go over. And it seems that thus far, who'd have thunk it, but then again, given the pedigree and of this Chance Ellison kid coming into this, I really hated as far as I'm concerned, I'm not completely against the cause, as it seems to when it comes to the overall thing with what happened with what we got out of Inner Geekdom and what we're getting out of this tournament that's shaking things up. But I'm just glad didn't fuck the WildBerries over that I'm aware of just yet. Though when it does, then I will be pissed. Because I pretty well, though I did not get a chance to have my bracket filled out and all that stuff, I was expecting the biggest upset of all upsets, and that's, WildBerries going all the way. Yes, I still can't stop talking about my WildBerries. And definitely looking forward to seeing WildBerries for the upset mowing down Evil Geniuses, even though I totally understand it given that team's pedigree. A former team champ and a potential future champ, whichever way it goes. And plus, both of them are part of Screen Junkie, so they've worked together. They're and gel well together, and it's just at this point a matter of whether or not JT's gets back into his old habits again. And that's what's really going to be what needs to happen in order for WildBerries to do the upset. Not to mention Ricky Hayberg's managing them as of this moment. So we'll see how that chemistry goes in terms of how his managing of WildBerries, and whether or not his involvement in managing WildBerries is why we're not going to be able to get what we were hoping for. Though I am hoping that despite if things do not go over the way I'd like it to, I want them to win. But anyway, now as far as this whole thing, them and Inky and the Brain, the new girl that's name is going to escape me as well. And one of the and Devin, whatever, and then apparently, I guess, sort of managing, even though more hype guy. That's basically a little Kingsman thing, and then, except they're not acting British at all, or at least the one dude that was acting British is now actually being his normal, semi-normal self. That whole thing, it's to the point where they, even for, they try to make this team, given one of them is consistent of being heel team, and trying to make them not heel so they could root for them instead, but it just, I wasn't buying it. I mean, I wasn't buying the whole American shtick. And then them kind of running WILDBERRIES on accident was quite nice, but you know I still wasn't, even then I still wasn't buying it. It was just more so just a reason to actually vote more for corruption for me, and to the point where it only further pissed me off when hearing the overrated chants for Chance Ellison, though Chance Ellison handled it like a technically former and definitely future champ should fucking handle it. Quote The Rock, just bring it. And that's kind of what I got out of this. Out of that, and I'm glad he handled himself pretty well. In fact, he pretty well carried this. Mike Kalinowski was the weaker one, and if your partner, and given what he had to deal with his last partner in terms of matchups, yeah, where he was the strong link and now he's the weaker link at this point, I don't think he has much to complain about. Plus, you know, having an amazing mouthpiece and knapsack. Sock. I'm sorry, I might have butchered that, man. Despite what we all have felt about the whole Rachel Cushing thing, you seem to have tried to get back some of her good graces and at least become a little bit more of a likable heel, as opposed to being the full-on asshole heel, which we're fine with, especially through his more so his usual times behind the desk lately. So, and plus, I think we've kind of gotten over the whole thing with the Star Wars thing, even though we still would like a rematch between him and Sam Witwer, though, especially after that one spectacular, which we still, as far as I'm concerned, is still the best Star Wars match we've gotten. Because and I'm hoping that we get that spectacular level Star Wars match again sometime, if ever anything at all at this point. Oh. Late nights, I tell you. But anyway, corruption going forward in round one. Of course, we'll be eventually facing the Founding Fathers, which is the team of John Roca and Dan Murrell for round two, which is something that was kind of built up since the live event, or at least more so the previous live event. And yeah, or at least even more so behind the scenes than in front of the scenes, than on camera. But yeah, I'm enjoying that. And then we have the Take the Cannoli versus the Self-Righteous Brothers. Take the Cannoli, consisting of former team champ and member of the Godfather Drew McWeeny, of course, and Brian Chandler, coming off of a loss to the Shire Wolves, trying to go with her team a stake in the head, which the moment I saw the guy, nobody knew who he was. We were so underwhelmed to the point where we're like, well, Shire Wolves have it. All we can hope for is that, you know, this team puts up enough of a match to make it seem more earned for Shire Wolves. And that's kind of what happened. And it's not even it's not even on brand, dude. And the team partner carried himself pretty well, so it wasn't a bad debut for the guy, given it was a championship caliber match, you know. But yeah, no one was expecting Charlie Wills to not come out of that the moment we found out who it was. They did a lot of things that kind of confused, and when they mentioned the name, I was like, oh, whatever. And then that's why this whole Take the Cannoli thing seems to be a far better pairing, and actually he's definitely showing. And Marquis, who from Viper Squad, she is doing so much better as a manager right now. But there, in fact, to the extent where it's more so for Brienne than the Godfather himself, and they're doing him more his thing, while Brienne doing her more theatrical thing, but in a way that actually blended and gelled well, far more compared to that of the Cinemaniac situation. So it was more in the Odd Couple kind of thing than the Cinemaniac situation, but we knew that pairing was going to go very far. But given the pedigree of Whitney Seibold, and now this newer guy that's from this one show that was on Comedy Central called Beat the Geek that I've barely even heard of, and somehow this Hewitt guy, he's good. He's good. Don't know, but this was a good team, and this matchup was really dang good, and went down to the wire. And is probably considered one, and immediately has made the best round one matchup. I'm trying to remember what the other round one matchup was, but that was the best. But it's hard to tell. This was, after seeing the way this matchup ended, I could definitely wouldn't consider it undercard for sure. Undercard at all, because it was that this matchup ended at a 30, with them tying top 10 and above the lines record, which is what I was trying to say earlier when it came to Drew McWhinney. He's former team, of course, and they tied for that, though I'm not sure how they'll go that far again, but post this match. But definitely nobody was surprised with Take the Cannoli, and I do love the cannoli joke. That was fun. A lot more fun than what Weezer does with their with that one song. Still the weakest thing about the White Album. But anyway, that was that was definitely one of the better matchups, and until the Evil Geniuses thing, round one will be, so far, this is the matchups we've gotten this week has definitely been some of the highlights of round one. I cannot wait to see what happens next. I can't wait to see how. I can't wait, but yet I'm anticipating, but yet sort of gonna white knuckle a little bit when it comes to the next matchup, which I believe will be the final matchup of round one, come this Tuesday, and post that will be the start of round two, I believe, in the Anarchy tournament. We'll see. I think what happens with that, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if they're going to take a small little break like I did with the number one contender match. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. I look forward to it, and hopefully you all look forward to it, to all the coming matchups as well. I definitely feel like of the teams right now that I feel Self-Righteous Brothers could, but here's my take. I feel like what could happen, depending on the matchup between the singles title matchup between Roca and Bibiani, if somehow Bibiani pulls a win, there's a possibility Self-Righteous Brothers could continue on instead of as a team. And Johnny LaQuista, who is actually, and seeing him as sort of a more likable heel-ish kind of a manager was pretty cool. Made a little more sense. And yeah, he still has to find a way to kind of overthrow Kalinowski for all the bullshit he's put him through lately. But, it's not like I didn't blame Kalinowski for his actions at that time and leading into what became corruption. still was on the fence. Eventually got on board, though I'm more on board now for what is of team corruption itself. More specifically with manager Ken Knapsack and Chance Ellison's involvement. Not so much the main head of this whole thing, Kalinowski. I like what we're getting out of the results that he's helping bring us through his supposed blackmailing of our current commissioner. But that's neither here nor there with that. Though I do like, speaking of Kalinowski, I did like the shout. You finally putting the shout out, though I was starting to wonder if you were just putting the name in the shout out in the one comment involving the one girl getting her corruption t-shirt. But, anyway. Still waiting on you to accept friend request, man. That's why I'm probably going to still be Guy and Bateman on this whole thing, which I believe you'll be having to probably face if you are able to get past the Founding Fathers. That matchup is going to be a little here nor there with me. I do have you guys coming out on top, but if you don't, it's not even going to surprise anybody either. I mean, it's going to be one heck of a match when that happens. And, yeah. I think, as far as I'm concerned, I want the Self-Righteous Brothers could continue as a team. If Bibiani still does. But either way, I'm expecting maybe Hewick and Johnny LaQuista will come on board as part of Growling Commando, along with Billy and Bibiani, and Growling Commandos will have hopefully grown a little bit better and stronger than ever before, even if Critically Acclaimed isn't going to be still as a team. Hell, it would be even more interesting if somehow Growling Commandos would also include and would make one of the administrators, Chris Clark, gushing even more, as if somehow, what's his face comes back on board, and Bibiani's former and once fellow horseman join. I wouldn't say Matt Nose is going to join after all this. I don't know, depending on how far the Cinemaniacs go. I don't expect them to necessarily get past round 2, depending on who they're facing. But it's I'm not gonna. And that has nothing to do with me with my thing with Emma 5. Okay. Sorry, I have a thing for nerdy anime girls and especially from my ex. But anyway, well, she wasn't into anime, but anyway. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to vent that out. But yeah, I'm hoping for future Growling Commandos, maybe Robert Burnett joining is what I was trying to say. With that, along with John LaQuista and Hewick eventually joining as well. I'm just saying, it would be interesting, and if things don't work out with Nost, I'd almost be okay with Bibiani. I'd almost be okay with seeing if Bibiani and maybe Robert Burnett being a team, which would actually be the Chris Clark wet dream he's always been wanting. Who knows? But that all really depends on if, Robert Burnett is actually going to... I mean, at this point, him just being a manager would be more interesting. Though I'm not even sure if that's even happening anymore. I think that's no longer happening. Because they never talked much about whoever he was supposed to... Well, then again, that's probably because the team he was supposed to manage no longer happened, which is a bummer. I don't know when he's going to ever come back, in what capacity, though him being a Growling Commando would be even more interesting and would definitely make it an even better heel team, even though it probably is now going to grow into more... I want it. That's what I'm hoping for. We don't know what's going to happen if Critical claimed it. And that's probably the beauty of what this whole Anarchy tournament is doing. Though I'm hoping that this doesn't result in even if Wildberries lose, I hope it doesn't result in inevitably the Wildberries breaking up, or at least not for whatever storyline purpose that they have. I don't want that to happen. Wildberries need to still be around until Makuga gets his job for hashtag Josh Makuga for Jeopardy type ordeal. That's the only thing I may accept. Alright, now that's all I have to say. And yeah, this is a long one, probably because we had 3 matches and a couple of predictions I needed to just get out of the way. But what did you guys think of these matches from last week thus far with the Anarchy tournament? And yeah, that's about it. If you guys like this video, rock that like button with the rest of you must. Please check out my Facebook that's in the description below. I'll probably leave something for some of you noobs in case you don't know what's going on. And need an idea for the movie Trivia SCHMOEDOWN, there's a video for you to check out there. Just go to Collider Videos or even the movie Trivia SCHMOEDOWN page, which is technically an archive page at this point. And leave it. And yeah, as always, guys, keep it ready, keep it real, keep it rocking. If you smell what the movie Trivia SCHMOEDOWN is cooking.